6:50 your time and 74 degrees. It's already close to what our high is going to be for the day, looking at about 78. And we're back. I'm Dan Howell with Cheryl Dunson, my co-host, and we have a very special guest, Cheryl.
We do.
Introduce our guest.
Our guest today is Guy Davis, and I met Guy through Rotary. We had a membership drive last year, and Guy and his wife, Ginger, both joined our club. And Guy is an old garbage guy.
Old garbage guy. She's talking trash now, Guy.
And I didn't know that until Guy joined my Rotary club, and comes to find out you've lived in California.
Yes.
And all over, and was actually working for Waste Connections here locally, left Waste Connections and started your own business. You want to tell us about that?
I'll be glad to. I'll be glad to. I was with Waste Connections for 8 or 9 years, and it took me all over the country, all the way to California. But then we had an opportunity to come back to Cleveland, to East Tennessee. We came back here, and through some prayer and some thought, we decided I should start my own business. And so I started a company called Compass Home Inspections. That's a little plug there. And
That's all right.
Started that back in September of 10. But it's gone very well, and we feel very blessed.
Okay, Compass Home Inspections. So I assume you're dealing with the real estate market.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. In fact, that's how I got associated with the River Counties Association of Realtors. They're a really nice organization, but most of my contacts, most of my business comes through real estate agents referring their clients to me, so I can check out the home and make sure it's up to par before they buy it.
Yeah.
That's a major investment.
Yeah,
oh, it is.
Absolutely. Biggest investment most of us will ever make.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, yeah, we want to make sure our homes are sturdy.
Yes.
Let's dwell on that for just a second, Guy. We hear a lot. In fact, coming in this morning, I was listening to ABC News, no, it was Fox News, actually. They were talking about the real estate market, and it's way down, and they're trying to get it up, and nationally it's down. How does that compare to what's going on here locally in River Counties?
Locally, I don't see any signs of that.
Really?
I wasn't in the industry 5 years ago when that was probably the boom time of the industry, 5, 6 years ago. But right now, work is steady. The market, there's a lot of new homes being built. Old homes are being sold left and right.
Yeah.
And my company for year one has done much better than I anticipated due to the good Lord and what I would consider a healthy market here in Bradley County.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
And I imagine a lot of that has to do with the economic growth that we're experiencing and people coming in, moving in. And of course, Amazon is up and running. They've already hired about 200 of what's going to be 350 to 400 full-time employees. And so that's got to help the housing market. And
Definitely.
I understand that Vocker, there was some representatives at Vocker, from Vocker at the mayor's banquet on Saturday night. And I understand that they've upgraded their projections. They started out with 500, and now they're up to 650, and that's just phase one.
Wow.
So anytime you hear there's going to be a phase 2 and then a phase 3, you automatically say, well, oh, there's going to be more people working there.
That's true.
So this would be good for your business.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
That's great.
It's gone very well. I've inspected some homes for Volkswagen, for some folks from Vocker, Amazon. You know, the new Whirlpool plant. That's a nice addition to Bradley County.
Fantastic
too,
addition, and plus they added about 150 new employees.
Yes, sir.
As well at that new plant. So Bradley County is doing fairly well on the economic scale. Even though our unemployment rate is higher than what we would like, it's still lower than the state and national averages. So
yes,
we're doing pretty good. But you're here about something else, and you've got this big box that says Santec on the side, but I think there's another sign on the other side too.
There is.
Talk about a plug. That's a pretty good plug there for Santec.
Yes.
Well, a guy kind of approached me.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this program until Guy called and said, hey, I'd like to know if you guys would be interested in helping us with this. And he had seen our boxes around town. These are what we call event boxes.
Right.
And whenever there's a festival or something going on where there's limited space for big garbage boxes, we put these event boxes out, and normally we line them with a liner, and then people can either use them for recyclables or their garbage.
Sure.
So Guy had seen the boxes.
Saw these boxes, and in our first committee meeting, when we discussed Box for Socks, we talked about what kind of receptacle could we use that would make it easy for people to donate to this cause. And the first thing that came to mind, as Cheryl said, was these boxes that you see all over Cleveland. These are really handy, and they can hold a lot of socks.
Oh, yeah.
So I gave her a call, and Cheryl was just like that. She said, we want to be a part of this program.
Sure.
So we're very blessed to have that.
That's great. And these are going to be placed where, Guy?
Well, I will be contacting, myself and members of my committee will be contacting businesses throughout the Cleveland area. And what we're going to ask them to do is to allow us to set up a box like this in their lobbies, in their waiting areas, areas like that, to where folks can see it, have the time to read about the program, and simply come back and throw some socks in here.
Yeah. And there's a sign on, there will be a sign on the front, as you can see right there on the screen, box of socks. Yeah. And this is a charitable effort. Who's behind this?
River County's Association of Realtors is behind this. And what we're trying to do is to raise awareness about one simple thing that goes on in our children's classrooms. And it's a function of forgetting, it's a function of economic hardship sometimes. But long story short, when children come to school and they don't have socks, it makes for a miserable day.
Oh, yeah.
Which would make for a difficult day to learn.
Especially in the wintertime.
Very much so. It's wet and soggy and cold.
Sure.
So we felt we could help these children out. Cleveland is a very giving community. And we want to talk to the folks in Cleveland about going and buying some socks. Just some socks for some kids and throwing them in here. I'll come and collect them. We'll come and get them and we'll deliver them accordingly. But that's all folks have to do is just put some socks in here for the children.
Oh, that's all you have to do. And I see sales all the time on these socks. Are you looking for all kinds of socks, or mostly tube socks, or what exactly type of socks are you looking for?
Mostly, it's just all has to do with size more than it does style.
Oh, I see.
Just as long as it can keep the children's feet warm, that's all we're really looking for.
And if people want a box at their place of business, if they'd like to participate, how would they get a box?
That's a great question. They could do any number of things, but what I would recommend that they do is contact the River County's Association of Realtors, ask for Randy Reed, or they could contact Marquita Monk of Remax Experience. She's the chairperson of the committee.
Okay.
Or she could call me. Anyone can call me, and I'll be glad to. And I can give those numbers now if you'd like.
Sure,
or just
go ahead.
River County's Association of Realtors, I don't know. In fact, the only number I do know is my own. I really stepped in it there, didn't I?
But if you Google River County's Association of Realtors, you'll find them, and I'm fairly certain this is probably going to be on their website.
Or call a realtor.
Yeah.
They all know that number. I mean, we're all in this together.
Very much so.
You know, and having partnered with a local school here, Santec partners with Prospect, and we're very, very proud of our best partnership. But when you go into the schools, and you just, I'm not a parent. Guy has 3 children, and I'm sure he dresses them very well, but not everybody is as fortunate as people like Guy. And you go into the schools, and sometimes you see things and you're thinking, what were they thinking when they sent them to school? Because a child has to be comfortable to be able to learn and to participate and have a good school experience. So I thought, when Guy approached me about the box for the socks, I thought, this is perfect. And I hope some of these socks make it to Prospect.
I hope so too, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will, but we cannot thank Santec and Cheryl enough for helping with this program and being a part.
And they will be distributed by River County's Association of Realtors and yourself through the school system? Is that the way it's going?
I believe we have a contact in the school system. And River County's is a part of Bradley County, Polk County, Meigs. So we'll be going not just to Cleveland area, but all throughout and helping folks in several. So this is going to touch a lot of people.
And I'd also offer, I hadn't talked to Guy about this, but I'd also say if you want a box, and there obviously we've got them at our place of business, call me. I'd be more than happy to arrange, you know, a box for your place of business. And 476-9160. Ask for Cheryl, and we'll get you a box.
Okay. Santec Environmental, a great community partner, and River County's Association of Realtors partnering with them as well, and the local school system. Isn't that a great partnership? I call that a public-private partnership. And when that happens, invariably you see things getting done.
Absolutely.
When the public partners with the private. And this is just a great program. And I wanted to comment too, get your comment about the need in this area. So often, and as you mentioned, this is such a giving area.
Yes, sir.
I read a little tidbit a while back this was from IRS data. So this is hard data from IRS, and they look at the contributions and the charitable giving from various regions. And this region of the country is rated at, like in the top 5 in the nation.
Wow.
In charitable giving.
Wow.
So people take that to heart when it comes to giving and helping people in need. So it's a great opportunity to do that. But when we think about charitable giving, sometimes we think about, well, we're going to give to this group and it's going to go to help people in Africa or Central America or somewhere like that, or somewhere in Eastern Europe. But we forget sometimes there are people who have real needs right here under our nose,
yes,
so to speak. Talk about that need that you've come across. Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. When we think about giving and charity and tax deductions and things like that, everyone, excuse me.
That's okay. Take your time.
Trying my best to get sick. When you have 3 children, whatever they get, we all get. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
But what I was saying was, when we think about these giving opportunities, automatically we throw it up to a larger scale, and it's going to be international giving. It's going to be folks who aren't Americans, who don't benefit from being a part of this great country of ours.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have an opportunity to stop and look inward, look at ourselves as a community, and say, there's a need here.
Right.
Why can't we capitalize on this? And River County's Association of Realtors has done that. Yeah. And it's a simple program. It's Box for Socks. It's helping children who come to school without socks. It's the simpler you make it, it seems like the more productive the giving can be.
Sure.
So we are here to promote that and to ask the community to please help us out. These children really need these socks. We don't want them to go to school with cold feet. Yeah. They want to learn, they're eager to learn, and we want to help them have an environment to where they can do that.
And when will we expect to see these boxes around town?
Well, I have already had contacts with, I guess, I want to say 7 or 8 local businesses. Cheryl was the first one to offer up her lobby at Waste Services. So I will be delivering these over the next, well, starting today. You'll see my truck going all over Cleveland delivering these boxes. But and I'm happy to do it. Just give us a call. Please call Cheryl or call myself at 303-9793. I'll bring a box out to you that same day, and we'll get this program started.
Sounds great. Well, it's a fine program, and it's helping people who really need the help. Appreciate you coming by this morning, Guy.
Thank
we gotta
you.
Take a break here at 7:02, but we're in wholehearted support of this.
Absolutely.
And
thank you.
We'd like to have you come back sometime and give us an update on how it went.
I'll be glad to.
This is the first year that this is happening, right?
I think it's been around for about 5 years, to be honest
really?
with you, but we are really trying to take it to the next level.
Next level, okay.
And 2 or 3 levels if we can.
Yeah, well, this is the time to do it. Speaking of those boxes, we'll probably see a lot of those boxes coming up in October around, the Fall Festival time down on the Courthouse Square.
Yeah, the Apple Festival.
Apple Festival.
Everybody seems to like the boxes. So,
yeah,
and they're good advertisement for Santek Waste Services, especially since we're only out in the county.
That's great. Well, thanks, Guy, for coming by.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We have to take a break. It's 7:03 and 74 degrees. Back in a moment with some headline news.
I'm Dr. James Markham, host of the television program Heart of Health, seen right here on WTNB television, Thursday at 7 o'clock, Friday at 8 a.m., or Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
I'm Wes Robbins with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. When it comes to employee benefits, we've got you covered. Call me today for the best service and best solutions to your group health and employee benefits needs. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
How would you like to look and feel better? If so, then visit the Ford Center for Anti-Aging, located at 2020 Key Street Northwest. Dr. Ford has been serving Cleveland and the surrounding area since 1984. He is a licensed physician with the Board of Anti-Aging Medicine, offering affordable Botox injections. Botox is a medication that is used to treat dynamic wrinkles such as crow's feet, forehead lines, and frown lines. In addition to Botox therapy, rejuvenate and smooth wrinkled skin. The micro laser peel treats skin conditions associated with aging and active lifestyles. If you're looking for safe and affordable anti-aging treatment, call the Ford Center for Anti-Aging at 423 614-0535, located at 2020 Key Street Northwest.
Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland, is your #1 Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep dealer in this area. Stop by and see the brand new 2011 Chrysler 200. The 200 is essentially a new nameplate with a significant facelift to the outgoing 2010 Chrysler Sebring. A beautiful vehicle at an unbeatable price. And while you're there, check out the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee and the newly designed Dodge Durango. Redesigned, revamped, and reinvigorated. Yes, the Dodge Durango is back, bigger and better than ever. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep offers a complete parts and service department with qualified service technicians to fix and repair your vehicle. So for your next brand new or pre-owned vehicle, make it Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland.
Welcome back. It's 7:06 and a beautiful morning so far, 74 degrees. I'm Dan Howell here with Cheryl Dunson, my co-host. And let's take a look at your weather forecast before we begin our discussion with our special guest, Laura Martz from Relics and Antiques and Vintage and Decor. I believe I got that right, did I, Laura?
Yes, sir. Relics, Antiques, and Vintage Decor.
Vintage, okay. That's going to be an interesting conversation, but can we pop up the weather forecast screen and see what it's going to be looking like around here for the next 3 days? There you go. Today, chance of rain. Tomorrow, partly cloudy. Wednesday, mostly sunny. Well, actually, partly sunny on Tuesday as well. I guess it depends on glass half full or glass half empty. I don't know. It's either going to be partly sunny or partly cloudy. One or the other, I don't know. But it's going to be a decent day today. I don't think it's going to rain. We may hear some thunder in the distance, but I really don't think we're going to see any rain. And that's based on my expert opinion. It's strictly an opinion. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a weatherman, but I play one on TV, as they say.
Well, I'll go with you. I'm thinking it's not going to rain.
I don't think it is.
No, going to have a great day. And I'm kind of like you, partly sunny and mostly sunny. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah, what's the difference? But I'm a half full kind of guy, glass half full, so I always go with the sunshine as best I can. But it's going to be a decent day. It's already 74 degrees this morning, so it's going to be a good day. We're back with our other special guest. That's Laura Martz, and Laura is here with, I want to make sure I get this right, so I got a little cheat sheet here, folks. Relics, Antiques, Vintage Decor, and if you put "and more" on there, it would rhyme.
We have a little bit of more. Yeah.
Laura, we're glad to have you today.
Thank you.
And I'm always interested, and I'm sure Cheryl is too, interested in talking about relics and antiques. It's one of the most fun things that I do. Occasionally, I'll just go spend several hours on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. I call it flea marketing, but this is not exactly flea market stuff you're talking about. But I just love to go look at things like that.
Yes, sir.
And a little bit of history involved, and think about where that item has been and how it was used. And there's still a demand for that stuff, isn't there?
There is. Antiques and vintage items that were made in our country, they have a story to tell. They are part of our history. I love it when families bring young children in. They can see items in our store that they just don't see anymore. Antique typewriters, old Bakelite telephones like what was on I Love Lucy, or even the older ones, the wall mount oak telephones. Just to touch 100 or 200-year-old books. It's really, I love seeing when young people come in because it's part of our history. Another thing is just the quality of the furniture. These items have been around at least 100 years, upwards of 2, not in Cleveland, but in other states, 300 or more years. They're the quality of the construction, they're just timeless.
I've got, you're the perfect person to ask, and I'll show it to you, either bring it to your store or show it to you later, but I've got in my car, and I've been carrying it around in the car for weeks because I was going to bring it out. Someone recommended that I come out to you and let you look at this. I've got 2 or 3 items. After my wife passed, going through some things, and I found some, I guess they're antique, I don't know, but I found this manicure set. It's in a zipper case, a leather zipper case, and then you open it up like a book, and it's got several, I guess 4 different instruments on both sides, and it's gold plated. And I'm like, wow, where did this come from? So I did a little family research, and she inherited this from her aunt. And it's, from what I can tell, it's from somewhere in the 1940s. So that puts it about, what, 50, 60 years old right now. And it's just a family heirloom. I have no interest in selling it at all. I just want to keep it as a memento. But I'm curious to know what it's worth. Get an appraisal on it. So you do appraisals, right?
Well, I don't do appraisals.
You don't?
I don't. I'm not a certified appraiser. I can be helpful sometimes in saying, oh, this is where you can go to find out about it, or I can give a general opinion. But to appraise an item for insurance or value purposes, you need to go to a certified
Someone who's
appraiser.
Certified.
Now, I have been buying.
But certainly you would have an expert opinion.
I have an expert opinion. And there's little clues that you can look at on an item. An antique is supposed to be 100 years old.
Okay.
So we're talking about items before 1912.
Okay.
Items are called vintage if they're before 1970.
Okay.
Anything from the 80s and up is really just used stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
just used.
That's interesting.
It may have belonged to your grandmother. It may be as old as the hills, but it's not an antique.
Right.
Yeah.
Little clues you can look at. If you flip something over and it has a barcode on it or a zip code.
It's not an antique.
No. Or if it says dishwasher safe. It's not an antique. But I get that a lot. Oh, it's an antique. Well, not quite.
And if it's plastic?
Well, that's a good sign. It's not, but it could still be vintage.
Yeah.
Talking about your manicure set, the oldest ones were, of course, made out of sterling silver.
Yeah.
In the late 1800s. Then you go into celluloid and bakelite, and there's still quite a bit of value in celluloid and bakelite manicure sets, gold plated. But after that, there's not a lot of value. There's, it's just a usable item and higher quality than what you can make now.
Right.
A lot of people come in and buy an item like that because the quality of the steel or the quality of the instruments is a much higher quality than what you can go into a discount store and buy that item now.
Yeah. I looked it up. I looked up the name. I couldn't pronounce the name. It's got a little name tag inside the case, and it's a German manufacturer.
I was going to say it was probably German made. Yeah. And before World War II.
Yeah. It's quite old, and it's just a beautiful little item and has a lot of memories for me. But we're talking with Laura Martz with Relics, Antiques, Vintage Decor, and I'm putting on and more, and they do have more. Where are you located at, Laura?
2270 Candies Lane. That is where the T&D Christian Bookstore used to be, and across from the old Rolling Hills Golf Course.
Know it well, right? Just catty-cornered down from the skating rink.
Yes.
Just down that way, so you'll know where that is.
People drive by the building, and then they come in and go, oh, it is much bigger than it looks on the outside.
Yeah,
it's a big building.
Large
it just
building.
has a low profile from the front.
What kind of antiques and relics do you have over there?
I try to concentrate on items that are 1960s or older. There is a big demand now for the 1960s or mid-century items from the 50s and 60s. I also have the shop divided off in certain areas like late 1800s, the retro section, shabby chic, more French style areas. So it makes it fun to look at for decorating your home, the kind of items that you would see in your home, how you can incorporate antiques and vintage items in your home. Not everything in the store is antique, but if it's not old, it's good looking. So I try to have, it's not flea markety, junky little store.
Not at all.
And because I'm an antique store, that's what I really carry is higher quality, beautiful items for your home. That doesn't necessarily mean expensive. I've got things that are over 100 years old, or it's just a few dollars. That just because it's old doesn't mean it's expensive, but it is something that you can decorate your home with, and it has has history.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because when I think about antiques, I'm thinking, oh, these are going to be really expensive items. And I love to antique shop. I'm like Dan. I'll go to an antique mall. You know, and there's one in Chattanooga behind Wally's restaurant, and just take hours just meandering through and looking at all these items. And so I'm glad you said that, because when you think antique, the first thing is pricey. And I'd be curious to know, do you have, is there one particular item or like paintings or that people come in and to look for, or is it just a variety of?
It really is a huge variety. I get a lot of people in off the interstate, and there are a lot of people out that are looking for certain things to enhance a collection. But also what I find is more people under 40 are looking to decorate their home, maybe with architectural or industrial salvage pieces. That's really popular right now. Or just unique items for their home. But I'll have somebody come and go, oh, I'm looking for this certain piece of china that belonged to my mother. Well, the chances of finding it are a needle in a haystack, but I might have it.
You may have it, yeah.
And another thing is if you're looking for like that manicure set, I can't say I have people coming in looking for that specifically for that item, but when you can buy an antique or a vintage item, that the quality is just amazing, and it's less expensive than going and buying a new one. Good example is an oak chest of drawers. Just a couple of weeks ago, I sold a chest from the 1870s.
Oh my! Wow.
Solid oak, no veneer. It was $200.
Oh my goodness!
Try finding that in a furniture store.
Really?
Solid oak, you won't find it.
And I bet there were no nails.
Oh, well, in this particular piece there were.
Okay.
But those pieces that are pegged go back even older, and they would be kind of.
No,
pricey.
I've got a piece like that in my home, and it's actually in my dining room, and it's an old vanity with a beveled mirror on it, and I use it for my napkins and my tablecloths and you know, things like that. And it's a beautiful piece, and there's not one nail in it.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. And it'll be here another 100 years.
Yes.
Where do you find items for your store, Laura?
Quite often I buy from people here in town. I just went to a house yesterday. You know, it was an estate, and I buy locally. People come in and bring me things that they want to sell. The thing about that too is when you take your business local, you can come back into my store and see that I've paid you a fair price. Remember that if you're taking your jewelry or sterling or silver, your guitars to these drive-by road shows, staying at hotel places, you have no recourse. There's no ties to the community to know that you're getting a fair price. But I also travel a lot. I just got back from Ohio with a huge load in the store. It's taken me all week to put it out. I go to Ohio, I go to Florida in the winter, and because there's so much more old stuff up there, I can really find a lot of unique items. I just brought back a half a dozen leather-bound books from the 1760s.
Oh my, leather-bound.
Leather-bound books. They were letters, printed letters that were written to John Wesley.
Oh.
Wow.
It's an honor to hold it in my hand.
Oh, absolutely.
And surprisingly, even though those books are 250 years old, they're not hugely valuable, or at least I don't think so. I haven't looked them up yet. But it's just it's an honor. It's just an honor. And they're up in Ohio and Indiana, Pennsylvania. It was settled much earlier. There's many more antiques up there that I can bring back and be able to sell reasonably.
What kind of antiques do you find in this region of Appalachia?
It's a harder. Poverty, the Civil War, it was settled later. There's a good variety here. I can go to a yard sale and maybe pop up with something wonderful, but it's a little harder to do. And then, of course, whenever someone passes away, it's real hard to keep everything in a house. And what I tell people is, you know, keep the best, keep the things that you love. But I do buy local when people have that need to disperse a little bit.
What do you have in the area of? I see this sometimes. One of my favorite TV shows, I'm sure you watch, Antiques Roadshow.
Oh yeah.
You know, like if you're an antiquer, it's a law. You got to watch that show. But they will go into a region And sometimes they'll have an item on the show that I'm like, well, wow, that's really ugly. I wouldn't want that in my home.
Yeah.
But it'll turn out to be a piece of folk art. They consider it
Yeah.
folk art. Somebody may have made a handmade chair or a handmade baby cradle or something.
Right.
And, you know, it looks like something that, you know, my 5-year-old grandson would have hammered together. And it'll be worth a ton of money because it's regional folk art.
Yeah.
Do you have anything like that from this area?
Well, I always look for things like that. Just recently I had a really unusual handmade folk art Mardi Gras float model from the late 20s and 30s. It was big and it was ugly and weird, but you know, I had no trouble selling it.
You didn't? Oh, my.
But it was very much a piece of folk art.
And that's a collectible?
Oh, absolutely. It was
Okay.
from the 20s or 30s, but to see it hanging on a wall in maybe a loft apartment in New Orleans, or it was, when I say ugly, it was the paint was falling off of it and it was brightly colored because it was Mardi Gras float model. But it was quite valuable because there were only like maybe one made for that model for that year.
One of a kind.
And it was a unique item. So I really do concentrate on looking for unique, unusual, odd. If it's different, I want it. I want it in my store if it's unusual. And going back to value, you would think, well, maybe that piece was worth $1,000. Well, I certainly didn't get that much for it because I'm in Cleveland. Regional prices make a big difference too. Where you're located, if you're in New York, an item's going to bring more money than it is in Cleveland. That's a given. But and just because it's old doesn't mean it's worth a lot.
Right.
That's a sad thing. You know, people think, oh, it's old. It belonged to my great-great-grandmother. I'm like, I'm sorry, I sell them for $10.
And it's still, it boils down to supply and demand a lot of times. If there's no demand for it, there's no...
That's a good point. And there has been a lot of changes in antique collecting. When I was growing up, my mother collected pigs, my grandmother collected owls, somebody collects frogs. You really don't see that anymore. Or people who collect just creamers or mustache cups.
Bells.
Yeah, because they catch too much dust, you know, as a dust catcher. But what people look for now is unique items to accent their home, just unusual items. I'm not saying there's not collectors out there, but salt and pepper shaker collections are out. It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen
But
now.
but unusual items, beautiful items, items that have a part of history. That's what people are looking for now.
I went on your website because I knew you were going to be coming on, and so I was wondering, do you get people who have checked out your website and maybe come to you because of?
They do. Unfortunately, I'm not as computer oriented as I should be, and I don't update that website as much as I should. I'll get so into having the set made with the antiques I just bought in Ohio, and then when a piece sells, I don't put it on the website because you know, sometimes it sells quicker than I can post the items online. But it does give you an indication of what kind of quality I have and how I display it in the store. It's just not schlocked up on the shelves. You know, we try to make it a nice nice store.
Looks like going into a department store.
And I get too wound up in the look, and that picture has to be just right before I put it on the website, and it doesn't happen.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the most expensive piece that you have in your shop?
Oh, surprisingly, there's not anything in the store that's over $1,000.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Actually, probably in the $700 or $800 range. A Victorian etagere from the late 1800s is an amazing piece of furniture. It 10, 15 years ago, it would have sold for about $2,500. And I think I've got it marked at $1,200. Wow. I guess $1,200 is about the highest. I also have now this isn't an antique, but it's such a beautiful piece of furniture. Solid mahogany, a highboy it is so gorgeous. And it's not an antique, but it was made here in America, and it's just really a fine piece of furniture. But that's the one thing. It's not about the money. You can find wonderful bedroom pieces for $100, $200 if you're watching in any antique store.
You find that most people, when they're shopping for antiques, not necessarily want something old, but they want something of high quality. Is that the reason?
That is, and unfortunately, there's just not very much high quality furniture being turned out today. And if it is, it's very expensive.
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Where you can walk into an antique store and find a really high quality made piece of furniture, and it's not much money.
Yeah. Solid wood furniture is almost like the dinosaur. It's gone away.
Yes, sir. Now furniture is being constructed out of paper.
Yeah.
With a wood overlay. If you're lucky, it's wood. A lot of times it's a tinted plastic veneer.
Right.
If you're lucky, it's a composite wood with a veneer on the top. And it's not made to last. It's throwaway furniture.
It's almost a disposable society almost,
It is absolutely.
even with our furniture.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
One of my favorite things in the store, you know, it's been so hot this summer and I'm in a tin building. It's hard to air condition. Is a 1930s Westinghouse fan, and it's so quiet, and it runs. People say, "Don't you want to sell that fan?" And no, I'd have to go to Walmart and buy a Chinese-made noisy one.
And it would be.
Yes, it would.
But you buy quality when you buy antiques, because most of what you buy in furniture is solid wood.
It is solid wood. Even back in the mid-1800s, there were some veneers, but that veneer was put on there to last.
Yeah.
And it was put over a poplar or oak,
Right.
you know, or over a solid wood. So there are veneer pieces that are made, but it's always on a solid wood frame. And it's part of recycling. If you're really into being green, there is no way you can decorate your house that's more green than buying vintage or antique items.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this?
I've been buying antiques for 30 years, selling for about 12.
Really?
I've been in this location for 4 years.
So you've been doing it long enough, you have a pretty good sense of what the value of things are.
I do, or I use my instinct. And I also tell people, if I don't know what it's worth, I'll find out for you, if I'm buying it from you. I really can't do free appraisals, but I can certainly point you in the right direction. The internet is a great resource to find out what your items are worth.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Absolutely. You can find just about anything on there. I get stumped once in a while, and I don't put it out on the floor if I don't have a good idea what it is. And I also love playing What Is It? I get things in, I'm like, what in the world is it? And it's a lot of fun, you know, to research it and trying to figure out what it is.
What about antique or vintage tools, like farm implements, hand
That's a
tools?
man thing, yeah.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of call for that?
Well, I do, and I'm learning.
Yeah.
It's a collecting category I don't know enough about. But when you pick up a 100-year-old tool, the iron is just beautifully made, and the brass fittings, and they'll use rosewood that's finished out like a fine piece of furniture.
Right.
So there are definitely a lot of men that are coming in looking for old planes and drills, and they're really beautiful works of art. And some of them can be quite valuable, some not.
And some of those items, are they used in like decorating?
Absolutely, absolutely. I had a display of 5 early 1900s drill bits. You know, they're shaped.
Oh, yeah.
I had them hanging on a rack, and they were just really nice looking. Or a line of planes with the beautiful iron fretwork on them.
Right.
It can be really pretty, and absolutely used to accent your home.
Oh, that sounds fun. I got to go just to look through the shop.
I know, I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About how many square feet is your shop?
I have 4,000 square feet.
Wow, it's a good sized store.
It is much bigger than people realize.
Good sized
And it's
store.
hard work to keep it full.
Yeah.
We've got about a minute left. Tell us how to find you.
Oh, if you know where the skate place is, the Cleveland skate rink, I'm just down the road on the right. But if you're in the middle of town, go down 25th, going out of town on Highway 60, take a left at the Shell station on Candy's Lane. I'm about a half a mile down on the right, across from the old Rolling Hills Golf Course.
And how do we find you on the internet?
I'm on Facebook, Relics Antiques, Cleveland, Tennessee. I also have a website, www.relicstore.com. But it's easy to click onto Facebook, and then you can connect to the website. I need to post more pictures. I should do that. But you can go and look at photo albums of many of the items that we have in the store. If you friend Relics on Facebook, I'll keep you updated when I've brought in a big load or an estate like I have this week.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Which I'm going to do as soon as we film the commercial Wednesday. Okay. I'm going to post it. If everybody comes in and buys my stuff today or tomorrow, I won't have anything to film.
And as we leave, tell us what your hours of operation are.
10 to 6, Monday through Saturday, and 1 to 4 on Sunday.
Okay, very good. Well, Laura, it's been just a joy to talk to you about one of my favorite things to do, and that's antiquing, and I know Cheryl likes to do that too. We'll have to have you back and maybe bring some photos or something of some of the things that are in the store. And
it's always changing, always. My regulars know that to come at least 2 or 3 times a month to see what's new in the store.
Well, I'll have to do that and check it out. We have to go, but appreciate our guests being here today. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you tomorrow.